Welcome to the Infidelity Files. I never imagined I'd find myself in this situation. I'm Jane, a 42-year-old stepmom, trapped in a loveless marriage. My husband, Mark, is a workaholic, always buried in his phone or lost in his office. While I admire his dedication, it leaves me feeling lonely and neglected. The spark in our relationship has long since fizzled out, replaced by a cold, empty silence. Late nights, when the house is quiet, are the worst. The creak of Mark's footsteps as he retreats to his study echoes through the empty rooms, a stark reminder of the distance between us. I miss the thrill of romance, the warmth of a tender touch, and the feeling of being desired. My stepson, Gabriel, has recently returned home after college. At 24, he's grown into a handsome young man. There's an undeniable chemistry between us, a secret tension that sparks whenever our eyes meet. I know it's wrong, but I can't deny the pull. One afternoon, as I was about to change into a silk robe, Gabriel unexpectedly walked in. His eyes widened, and I could feel the heat rising to my cheeks. For a moment, the world stood still. The air crackled with unspoken desire. I've never felt so alive, so vulnerable. This forbidden attraction is consuming me, and I don't know how to resist. We don't have to leave. He hesitated, his gaze searching mine. The desire simmering beneath the surface was palpable, and I knew I had to take a chance. Gabriel, I've been feeling lonely lately. It's hard being here without Mark. I get it, he replied, his voice low. It's been weird with him being so busy all the time. I took a deep breath, feeling a surge of boldness. What if we spent some time together, just the two of us? A smile broke across his face. I'd like that. Drawn by an invisible force, I stepped closer, the space between us shrinking until we were mere inches apart. The warmth of his body, the electric current between us, it was undeniable. Gabriel, I've thought about you a lot more than I should, I confessed, my voice barely a whisper. Me too, he admitted, stepping closer. In that moment, all my fears vanished. I leaned in, capturing his lips in a kiss. It started tentative, a soft brush of lips, but quickly deepened into a passionate embrace. His hands found my waist, pulling me closer as we surrendered to the moment. This is so wrong, I murmured, breathless. Maybe, he replied, his voice husky with desire, but it feels so right. Before I could think of the consequences, I pulled him back into another kiss, my fingers tangled in his hair. The kiss grew more intense, our bodies pressed together, a symphony of desire. Every touch sent shivers down my spine, igniting a fire within me. We broke apart, our gazes locked. Are we really doing this? I whispered. Yes, he said firmly, gripping my chest. I want this, Jane. I've wanted you for a long time. Emboldened by his words, I took his hand and led him to the bed. As we sat on the edge, our lips met again, more urgent, more demanding. His hands roamed my body, tracing every curve, igniting a passion I hadn't felt in years. Let's not hold back, I said, breathless. With a nod, he leaned in, our bodies pressed together. I could feel the heat radiating from him, a primal urge taking over. My hands explored his chest, tracing the contours of his body. I wanted more, and the thought thrilled me. I pushed him back onto the bed, straddling him as I kissed him with urgency. His eyes widened in surprise and excitement, mirroring my own. I never expected this, he breathed, his hands gripping my hips. Neither did I replied, my voice low and sultry, but it feels too good to stop now. As we continued to kiss, I felt his body respond to my touch. Our bodies moved in sync, a dance of passion. I slid my hands under his shirt, exploring his toned abdomen. A soft groan escaped his lips, sending shivers down my spine. God, Jane, you're incredible, he whispered, pulling me closer. I loved the way he looked at me, the desire in his eyes fueling my confidence. I want to feel you, I whispered, my voice thick with longing. Then, let's not waste any more time, he said, his hands finding the hem of my robe and pulling it apart. A rush of excitement coursed through me as I felt the cool air on my skin. You're beautiful, he murmured, kissing my collarbone. A fire ignited within me as his hands roamed my body, igniting every nerve ending. I arched my back, urging him on. With newfound confidence, I took control, flipping us over so I was on top. His eyes sparkled with mischief and desire as he leaned in for another kiss. I could feel his weight pressing against me, every moment electric. As the passion intensified, we lost ourselves in the moment. The world outside faded away as we explored our desires. Soft whispers and the sound of our bodies moving together filled the room. Every touch, every kiss was more intoxicating than the last. As the intensity began to subside, we fell into a comfortable embrace, catching our breath. I looked into Gabriel's eyes, feeling a sense of joy and excitement. We had crossed a line, and I was exhilarated by the possibilities. I'd been feeling so alive, so desired, in a way I hadn't felt in years. But just as I was starting to relax, the doorbell rang, jolting me from my blissful state. What was that? I asked, my heart pounding as the reality of our situation hit me. It's probably your husband, Gabriel said, his eyes wide with panic. Mark wasn't supposed to be home for hours. Mark isn't supposed to be home for hours, I exclaimed, scrambling to cover myself. We have to hide. We frantically tried to compose ourselves, straightening our clothes and smoothing our hair. Just as we were somewhat presentable, I heard Mark's voice from the hallway. Jane, are you home? He called out, sounding cheerful. Yeah, I'm in the bedroom, I replied, my heart pounding. I glanced at Gabriel, who looked equally flustered. Stay quiet, I whispered urgently, and Gabriel nodded, slipping into the closet just as Mark walked through the door. Mark entered the room with a smile. I didn't think you'd be home. How was your day? He asked, stepping closer. Just the usual, I forced a smile, trying to act normal. How was yours? Busy as always, he replied with a sigh. But I thought I'd take a break and spend some time with you. I nodded, feeling a mix of guilt and excitement. I could still feel the lingering warmth of Gabriel's touch, the thrill of our shared moments. I had to push those thoughts aside as I forced myself to engage with Mark, who seemed oblivious to the tension in the air. As the evening progressed, Mark and I settled onto the couch, making small talk. But my mind kept wandering back to Gabriel and our electric connection. Every time I thought about it, a fire ignited within me that I couldn't ignore. A few days later, while Mark was out for a late-night meeting, I found myself alone at home, consumed by the memory of our last encounter. I missed the thrill of being wanted, of feeling truly alive. To ease my racing thoughts, I decided to take a long, relaxing bath. I lit candles, filled the tub with warm water, and let the steam envelop me. As I soaked, my mind drifted back to Gabriel, the way his hands explored my body, the passion in his kisses. A rush of heat surged through me, and I knew I needed to see him again. Just then, I heard a soft knock on the door. My heart skipped a beat. I quickly wrapped a towel around myself and opened the door to find Gabriel standing there, a mischievous grin on his face. Hey, he said, his eyes sparkling. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. Not at all, I replied, my heart racing. Come in. As he stepped into the bathroom, I felt a surge of excitement. I was just taking a bath, I said shyly, trying to hide my nerves. "Looks inviting," he replied, his gaze lingering on me as I leaned against the doorframe. "Mind if I join you?" I hesitated for a moment, my heart pounding at the thought of being so close to him again, but the thrill was too strong to resist. "Sure, why not?" In an instant, Gabriel stepped into the tub, closing the door behind him. The atmosphere was charged with anticipation. As he slowly undressed, revealing his toned body, my breath hitched. Every part of me ached to touch him, to explore the heat radiating from him. I could feel the warmth of his body against mine, igniting a fire that spread through me. "You're even more beautiful than I remember," Gabriel whispered against my lips, his breath warm against my skin. I smiled, feeling flattered. "And you're more irresistible every time I see you." With newfound confidence, I pushed him back against the tub, straddling him as I pressed my body against his. The water swirled around us, but I was lost in the sensation of his skin against mine. My fingers traced down his chest, relishing the feel of his muscles beneath my touch. "Jane," he breathed, his voice filled with longing. "You have no idea how much I've wanted this." "Show me," I replied, my voice sultry as I leaned in for another kiss, this time more fervent. The world outside faded away as we explored each other. The water mingled with our desires as our kisses became more urgent. I could feel his hands roaming my body, tracing every curve, and I lost myself in his touch. The thrill of being so close to him sent shivers down my spine, igniting every nerve ending. I leaned back slightly, allowing him to kiss down my neck, savoring the sensation of his lips against my skin. "Gabriel," I gasped, my body arching towards him, craving more. With a low growl of desire, he cupped my face, his thumbs brushing over my cheeks as he pulled me in for another searing kiss. I could feel the heat building between us, a powerful force that drew us closer together, urging us to explore more. The water around us became a blur as we tangled together, lost in the heat of the moment. My hands explored his body, tracing over his shoulders and down his arms as he deepened our kiss, each movement igniting the passion between us. Suddenly, a rush of boldness surged through me. I pulled away slightly, looking into his eyes. "Let's take this further," I whispered, my heart racing at the thought. "Are you sure?" he asked, his voice thick with desire. "I've never been more sure of anything in my life," I replied, my heart racing with anticipation. With that, we moved together, the warm water surrounding us as we embraced the heat of our desires. We pressed against each other, our bodies entwined in the moment. As the passion escalated, our breaths mingled, and we lost ourselves in the pleasure of being together. The world seemed to melt away as we surrendered to our desires, exploring every inch of each other, feeling the warmth of our connection grow. It was a whirlwind of kisses, soft whispers, and tender caresses, leaving us both breathless. Eventually, as the water cooled around us, we pulled apart slightly, gazing into each other's eyes. I felt exhilarated, alive in a way I hadn't experienced in years. Just as we were beginning to relax, the sound of the front door echoed through the house. We exchanged worried glances. "Mark's home!" I exclaimed, panic rising within me. "Quick, we have to get out of here," Gabriel said, scrambling out of the tub. We both hurriedly dried off and threw on our clothes, the tension palpable as we tried to make ourselves presentable. Just as I finished adjusting my hair, I heard Mark's voice call out again. "Jane, I'm back," he shouted. "We need to hide," Gabriel said urgently, glancing toward the door. I nodded, and we both ducked into the closet, our hearts racing as we heard Mark enter the bathroom. The two of us stood close together in the darkness, our breaths mingling as we waited for the tension to dissipate. Mark began to wash his hands at the sink, oblivious to the chaos that had just unfolded in his home. "How was your day, Jane?" he asked, his tone casual. "Just relaxing," I replied, my heart pounding in my chest as I exchanged a nervous glance with Gabriel. After a few tense moments, Mark finished and left the bathroom, allowing us to breathe a sigh of relief. "Wow, that was close," Gabriel whispered, his eyes wide with excitement. "I know. I can't believe we just—" I began, but before I could finish, he leaned in and kissed me softly, reminding me of the thrill we had just shared. "We can't stop now," he said, his voice low with urgency. "This is just the beginning." I felt my heart racing again, caught between the thrill of our secret and the reality of my life with Mark. But deep down, I knew that whatever was happening between Gabriel and me was something I couldn't resist. I was ready to embrace this new chapter, wherever it might lead us. As we stepped out of the closet, the tension hung in the air, electric with possibility. We both knew that our lives would never be the same again. The thrill of the forbidden lingered, and I was ready to dive deeper into this unexpected romance, no matter what it took.